Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Atik, Arul, Mohan, Sujata, entire TNO team for inviting me here for this 1 hour session. I thought I'll talk on various topics and show you something. We'll have it interactive, so if anyone has doubts, always stand up. Otherwise, we'll get also the people sitting here on the panel to discuss so that it's a two-way communication rather than a one-way communication. So I thought the first thing I talk to you is on pinhole pupilloplasty. We'll start from the basics a bit and then we'll take it to the next level. So basic principle here, if you notice in pinhole, is what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to make that pupil approximately 1.5 millimeters. So what is happening is the peripheral rays of light are blocked. The central rays go in. You can see distance and near. So you get an extended depth of focus. Now let's look at this case. This case came to me from the United States. Okay, she was being treated in Philadelphia. Pellucid marginal degeneration. A tucked-in lamellar keratoplasty was done some years back. The vision was counting figure 1 meter. Now you get such cases like this, pellucid marginal degenerations, etc. What I want you all to do is this. Check the holiday pentacam report. So when you do a pentacam, something which we all forget to see is, if you see on the top, you'll see an astigmatism portion there, which is there. But look at the RMS HOA. That's what we are missing. The normal HOA is 0.3. Now in this person, the HOA is 3.3. How is this patient going to see? So, when you have a problem like this, what we do is, we design this with the help of Jack Holliday. Because when we started pinhole, I'll be very honest to all of you, I mean, my optics sucks, to be honest. It's so bad. It's underground. So I knew if I have to take pinhole pupiloplasty to another level, I needed somebody who's a guru in optics. I contacted Jack Holliday and said, Jack, I am in trouble. I need you with me. And believe it or not, from that day till today, every paper, Jack Holliday is part of us when we are doing on peer review or anything. And then we decided to design this pinhole device. Very simple device made by Epsilon. You keep it in front of the patient's eye. Ask them, what do you like? You have a patient with keratoconus, ask them, you rotate it. Does he like 0.5? Does he like 1, 1.5, 2? Whatever the pupil he likes, on table make it. This is autoclavable also. You can take it, autoclave it and keep it in front of the cornea when you are operating, so you get an exact correct size. You have great surgeons here like Krishna Prasad Kudlu, I see Prashant Bavankle there, all top guys in this game who are already doing this, and I'll tell you how it'll make life very easy for them. So, next step is, how do you do this procedure? Very simple. We are using the single pass, 4th row pupilloplasty technique. For those who don't know, take a simple Proli needle, start from the cornea. Okay, you don't need to make a paracentesis. Through clear cornea, other side you need a paracentesis, 30 gauge needle, 26 gauge needle, railroad the two. Once you have done that, bring the loop out. You see, I brought the loop out. Now remember the number 4. 4 times pass it through that in the same direction. Remember, okay? You can't do one side reverse, then you're back to square one. Pull on either end, and ladies and gentlemen, that is game, set, and match. That's all. It can't take you much time. How much does it cost you? One suture. Okay? Now you do, I'm doing it again there. And Oral Lab from the Arvind group are just fantastic. They've got fantastic sutures. You can just contact them. They'll give you these great sutures. Now look what's happened. Look at the Purkinje image. Okay? Now, when you are doing pinhole pupiloplasty, please understand, you got to know some things. One, my location is damn important. That means my Purkinje image has to be bang centered on the pupil. Okay? The second is the size. Size, I told you, use the pinhole device. It will tell you whether the patient wants a 1.5 or a 1 millimeter pupil. Make it exactly like that. Now, if you see here, the Purkinje image, the triangle which you're seeing there, dots, is falling on the iris. It's not on the pupil, okay? So now what we do is, we have made it like this. All you need to do is keep a vitrectomy probe. Remember one thing, you don't have to use these constellations. I obviously use them, but if you have a good Phaco machine, and all of them, whether it's Apaswamy to Bosch and Lomb to Alcon to all of them, have got good anterior vitrectomy setup. That's all you need. In my left hand, I've got a trocar infusion. In my right hand, I have a vitrectomy probe. So all I'm doing is chew it up a bit. You need a vitrectomy if you want to do this game. Please understand. Don't do this without a vitrectomy, and all your Phaco machine will have it. Now look at that pupil. I'm going to make it round. I'm going to make it centered. And I'm going to make it bang correct, because my pupil should be, in my calculation, 1.5. Now look at the Perkins image. It's bang centered. And once I have done that, I know I'm on track. So once, all you need to do is use the vitrectomy probe, and you will see everything falls in place. How did this patient behave? Remember, this patient has come to me all the way from United States. She cannot fly back from America back to India. So I have to make this okay first shot. So this is how the patient looks. Now look at the patient pre-op. Now you see on the intra-op, and you can see post-op day 1, 6/9 N6, because they get extended depth of focus. So I hear about presbyopic LASIK or etc. and all. Look at that. You will get an extended depth of focus. You see distance and near without glasses. So once I have shown you this, let me show you why is this working. I showed you very basic, okay? Now let's go to the next step. Why is this working? And all of you, including top people here, please.
Before you go to the next one.
Or can we do it just after this one topic? I'll just show you.
Yeah, sure.
It's important for me to show all of you, because especially for the 3 people on the dais, I want them to see this, and then we'll come to the discussion on the topic. Watch this. All of you understand. The retina has rods and cones. Everybody knows. So you're seeing the retina having rods and cones. Now the funny part in life here is, so beautifully it's been arranged is, when you talk of the fovea, Mohan, you have only cones. Please understand. And you don't have rods, Arul. Okay? But remember, the cones you have are 200-fold times more than the rest of the retina. Now please understand, if I have a fovea, and you know the cone is a bulky, obese chap, the rod is a slender guy, like thin guy, okay? How can that obese structure fit into the fovea? So what the Almighty has done here is, He has made the cones, Mohan, like a rod. This is why I wanted to stop at this point. Very important for you to understand. He has made the cones slender like rods. So when the light comes, please understand, it's like a straight, it goes straight inside and reaches the brain. The cones have to be cramped up into that small space, and that is why this works. So remember this, very important is that in the fovea you have cones only. And then there's one more point which I'll just mention, and then we'll stop for some time to discuss with Mohan. Yes, Mohan.
Very nice video. Pupilloplasty we've been doing. The only concern many people ask me is that how do you examine the retina post-operatively?
Fantastic.
Yes.
So I'll come to that point also. So remember, there are 4 machines which can do this. Through a 1 millimeter pupil, you can see 163 degrees ora to ora approximately through a 1 millimeter pupil. One is we use the Nidec Mirante, okay? But you have the Optos, you have the Zeiss, and you have the Heidelberg machines. All these 4 are laser scanning ophthalmoscopes which will find out the retina from ora to ora through 1 millimeter pupil, and I'll show that also in my presentation.
Okay.
Now let's take another case for us to understand. Look at this patient. Patient comes to you with RK, and you can see astigmatic keratotomy marks also present there. Can I have that video, please?
Video on.
AV guys.
CHEN-EYE.
Yep.
Video.
Okay. So now, look at this. You have here the RK, and this is the AK marks there. So now this patient comes to you, fixed dilated pupil, pseudophakic, okay? The patient is already pseudophakic, higher order aberration. But look at the HOA. That's 10.9. That's crazy. Okay, I told you normal is 0.3. Astigmatism is about 7. But look at the HOA, it's crazy. So now why I'm showing you this video is, we also brought out a technique here. You see this. I catch this, instead of doing the fourth row, we are going from behind the iris. The needle also goes behind the iris. So in other words, here, this is reverse fourth row pupilloplasty. In other words, what we are doing here is like single pass, but the knot is now behind the iris. So if you are doing a case of endothelial keratoplasty and you don't want your graft hitting the suture tails, you do the reverse fourth row pupilloplasty. And I'm just showing this to you in a second here, how we are doing this. And you will notice here, look at how the track of the suture moves. Okay, then you will understand my point. It goes first behind the iris, comes in the front, again behind, and that's how the knot goes behind the iris rather than in front of the iris. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is reverse fourth row pupilloplasty. The remaining is just the same. If you see that animation on the top, how the knot, instead of being in the front, is in the back. Now, when you do many of these, the game plan is what? You want to make the pupil 1 to 1.5. Simple formula, if you have an HOA of 5 and below, I make it 1.5. And we publish this in the JCRS. And if someone has an HOA more than 1.5, more than 5, they will by and large go for a 1 millimeter pupil. This is an animation to show how do you do a single pass fourth row pupilloplasty, and Mohan is doing a lot of this with Sujata. Simple, remember the number 4. That's all. See, you don't need to do 3, 1, 1, etc. You just do it once and it's over. So I've done reverse fourth row. Remaining places I'm doing single pass fourth row pupilloplasty. The idea is simple. I want to make the pupil 1 millimeter. And look at that vitrectomy probe. That's a must. You need that to make that pupil where you want it. So now let's see how this patient behaved at the end of the day. See this patient. Another patient here. 636 vision after RK, PPB, and this is 1 millimeter pupil. And look at this patient now here. That's what Mohan was talking about. Mohan, you were discussing me about the fundus through these people. You can see that it's about 163 degrees of the fundus through the nidec mirante, through that 1 millimeter pupil. So now, coming back to the other picture.
Amar, you need a wide angle fundus camera.
These are special laser ophthalmoscopes,
yes,
laser scanning ophthalmoscopes, but they will do it for you beautifully. And you see that patient which I showed you just now, pre-operative 2/60, post-operative comes to 6. Now I want to welcome Atik here also. Atik, we're just covering up pinhole pupilloplasty. So while you are so busy, I understand in this conference. Now, another question which people ask is, what is the difference between a pinhole IOL and a pinhole pupilloplasty? Why should I do that? First, remember, in a pinhole IOL, please understand, the size is fixed. I cannot change it. That's fixed. In a pinhole pupil, I can change the size as I showed you just now using the pinhole aperture, whatever size I want. The second thing is the location. The location is fixed. So if the patient has, let's give an example, inferior keratoconus, okay, and you put a pinhole IOL, I can tell you one thing, that patient is going to break your head. He's not going to be happy. With a pinhole pupil, I will make the pupil where the Purkinje image is, and that might be slightly inferior. Another thing is, if you have closed angle, Mohan, as you can see in that picture there, all of you in anti-segment OCT, you can see I'm making it open. Now there is the cost. Look, it's one suture, that's $800. Okay? If patient is pseudophakic, it does not matter. There's no FDA report required. And most important, can I reverse it? Yes, just take a YAG laser and shoot. Now look at this patient here. This patient came to us from Bangladesh. Okay? When I asked my doctors, okay, I was sitting on the OT and I asked them, okay, what is the HOA of this patient? They said 109. I said, hello, what are you talking rubbish? It can't be 109. Yeah, nobody can have 109 HOA. Okay, 0.3 can't become 109. And it was 109. Because the surgeon who had sutured that corneal wound had messed it up so badly, the patient had 109. Look at the astigmatism. It's about 40. Okay? So now I started taking up this young girl who had come to me, took out these sutures because I knew they are so bad. Once the sutures got removed, I said, let me do the Phaco portion and knock off this cataract also which is there because of the trauma. So you will see now the fastest Phaco ever possible. You'll just see it in a second. Watch this. I went in, and when I did my hydrodissection, and I go in then with my viscoelastic, now I go into the Phaco Pro, and you can see now in a second, gone. I was blinking. I said, hello, where did the nucleus go? Huh? I had to see it on AV again, on slow motion. You see that? Oh, it came out through the wound. I should have removed the sutures. Actually, I should have been shot for this. He's a terrible fellow I am. Stupid, actually. I should have left the sutures and removed the sutures.
Through the wound,
but
is it?
Yeah, through the
I
wound.
thought it went inside.
Yeah.
Came outside.
See, now I think he's not going to call me again, huh, by the way.
Anyway, Amar, I want this video for my next OPL.
Look, 80 OPLs the man has won. 80 OPL, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's phenomenal. And he's already thinking for next year's July OPL. Anyway, look at that. In slow motion, I'm showing this to you. So anyway, I resutured the whole thing up. Once I've done that, I put my IOL inside. And then you can notice, I will obviously, then I'll do look at the leak still. So obviously I have to do more of suturing present there. Once I do that, then I will decide to do a pinhole pupiloplasty. The message is what? You get cases like this, no trauma cases. Can anybody give me a guarantee what the astigmatism of this patient is going to be? Nobody can give me a guarantee. If I make it pinhole, it does not matter. I don't care whether it is 5 diopters astigmatism, 20 diopters, I'm going to make it 0 anyway. There is no nomogram for me. It's so simple. You understand? So, if a patient comes to me like this, people will say, let's do PK. I said, no, let's not do PK, please. We have sent it our paper for publication now for peer review to JCRS, where we are saying pinhole pupiloplasty instead of keratoplasty. Yeah, obviously we will do keratoplasty in certain cases, but there are certain cases like this. Can I get away without doing a keratoplasty? Can I manage this with a pinhole device or pinhole system running? And that's where again pinhole pupiloplasty works, and you won't get this working with a pinhole IOL because in a pinhole IOL we can't assess.
Yeah. I just want to ask you one this thing, because this is a corneal tear which has been very fresh corneal tear.
Correct.
Okay. I was wondering whether, because you should stabilize the cornea, wait for about 1 or 2 months and then do the pinhole pupiloplasty as a second sitting.
Okay, so it's a good question. So what's Mohan's point? I have got a corneal tear. Let's fix the IOL, wait for 2 months, let the cornea heal, and then decide whether we do a pinhole pupiloplasty, how much to do. Correct? That's the basic point. Nobody is denying there will be astigmatism. Yes. That's not the question, correct? Correct. The question is, how much astigmatism? Now let's look at it like this, Mohan. How does it bother me? Tell me frankly, let's say this man gets 40 diopters, he is now pre-operative, before I started. Let's say he becomes 5, he becomes 10, he becomes 20, Mohan. It does not bother me, Arul. I'm making him 0 anyway. Because I have not removed his astigmatism. Please understand. I have not removed his HOA. It remains as it is. What have I done? I have neutralized it. I made it 0. I hope you get my point. I have not changed his astigmatism. You know, the first pinhole pupiloplasty case which came to me was a patient who had SICS and a bad scar, and my doctors came to me. I said, okay, what are you going to do? And that patient had some 24 diopters of astigmatism. They said, sir, we'll cut here, we'll do laser here, we'll do... I said, give me a guarantee now on paper, you'll make it 0. You can't, because there's no nomogram in the world. There's no laser in the world which can correct 24 diopters of astigmatism. The pinhole will work. I hope you got my point.
Yeah. In this case, since the corneal tear is right in the visual axis,
that's what I was wondering.
You will make it eccentric?
No, I'm going to show it to you. Yes. I didn't make it, but I was scared whether I'll hit the Purkinje image or not. So, the point is, look, if it's bang centered, I will miss 100%. But in this particular case, this is the case which I made. Now let's see how it behaves. Okay, let's see it for a second. And let's answer Mohan's question there. So the question basically is, will my Purkinje image hit correctly? It hit correctly, because when you see this patient, post-op day 1, post-op day 3, Mohan, look at this patient. Now this patient came to me from Bangladesh. Okay, she can't come back again and again. 6.6, I got a shock, to be honest to you, and N8. And funny part, look at the HOA, Mohan.
Yeah.
It was 109. It became 5. Okay,
Amazing.
nothing what I did. What happened was, I resutured the cornea. Don't get me wrong, it's not the pinhole which has changed my HOA. It's the resuturing of the cornea which has changed the HOA.
Small people also.
No, that's not because of that.
No,
HOA
no,
remain as it
no.
is.
HOA is.
I'm not changing anything.
No, HOA can increase when you dilate the pupil.
I understand your point. So little bit, yes, it can be. But from 109 to 5,
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. You know?
Why did you remove the sutures in the first
Come again?
Why did you remove the sutures, she asked?
Because
me.
I'm stupid.
Huh?
I should not have removed. I'm telling you. It was badly done. I should put the IUL first and then removed. I'm agreeing. No, my mistake. Sorry, madam. Mohan,
That shows the humility.
your beloved wife.
Yeah, every day I'm doing this to her.
See, that's why we have happy marriages. Understand? I learned from Mohan. Okay. So now, you got this game plan on. So now let's move on to something else which I thought I'll show you. Okay, so far so good. Okay, I call this as potpourri. Let's see this case. This patient came to me from one of our hospitals. The doctor created a PCR, left nucleus behind, Descemet's detachment, and he called me and said, "Sir, please help me." I said, "Okay, send patient over." I thought, okay, big fellow, I will do, make it all right. So now what? DM detachment, as you can see, nucleus is present. Okay, so I said, okay, let me make this patient all right. So now I take it inside to the OR. I can't see anything, obviously. So I take off the epithelium. I stain with trypan blue, and you can see the DM there. So we tried this air-assisted cataract extraction. I'm pumping air. That was Susan's idea to fix back the DM while I'm operating. It worked partly. I made a fresh incision. I went in with my Phaco probe to remove the nucleus. Okay, there's no PCR. Remember that. Okay, there's just a DM detachment. But now the DM is fluttering. When it started fluttering, my heart started fluttering. When my heart starts fluttering, I get crazy. So what I did, I pulled out. And you see that in a second. Tuck. And with it came tuck, the DM. That poor doctor only created a Descemet's detachment. I removed the whole detachment itself. So the whole DM is out. There's no detachment left. See, solved. Simple solution. Now what to do? Okay, I put the IOL inside, 3-piece IOL, because I'm not sure how the case will behave. Then I thought I'll do a 4th row. Pupiloplasty, make the pupil better. I made it. I'm quite happy now. I thought I'll go home for dinner now at this time. My staff doesn't want to assist me nowadays because they don't worry. They're worrying about how many days this man will take to operate one case. Because suddenly I saw some cortex there. So I thought, let me remove that cortex a little bit. In bargaining of removing that cortex, my IA caught the capsule. When the IA caught the capsule, I knew that I'm in trouble because the lens started decentering. When lens decentered, I said, okay, now no other choice. So Mohan knows this very well. We have how to do the glued IOL. So you see, we have made 2 flaps, 180 degrees apart, made my sclerotomy. Once I have done my sclerotomy there, you see, I'm now doing my vitrectomy, clearing it all up. Once done, you'll see there in a second, my lens is lying there. So now I decide to do the handshake technique. Basic principle is what? Take 2 forceps. Okay, they are from Epsilon. You can use anything you want. Upper Swami, I think, has, many companies have. Catch the tip of the haptic. Remember that. Externalize. Now do the same from the other side. So here you see now, I'm doing this from the other side. Now I've caught both haptics. Tip of the haptic caught, pulled out. So far so good. Now I'm tucking the haptics inside. So here you see now, create the 26 gauge needle tuck. See, the advantage in the glued IOL is the lens is stable. You see, Mohan, in the Yamane, there's a flange on either side. With a flange on either side, the lens will tilt. That's an easy technique.
No, we also do not know how much of flange is going to, how much of haptic is going and sitting inside.
Correct.
So in Yamane. So it's a
It can
little
come
blind
outside,
technique,
it can
yeah.
Produce. See, that's another point. So that's why, to be honest, you no prejudice, but the reality which I see is, why do we do glued and not Yamane is because of this. Because there's no flange. So the lens is rock steady like that. You know, whereas in the flange technique, there will be a tilt. Whether you do Canabrava's technique or you do the Yamane, there will be a bit of a tilt. Now look, I'm doing the fourth row pupillasty, but look at this mistake here. I have passed it through the cornea. It has not gone through the paracentesis. So now what has happened is, the whole suture has been come to one side. Now I know I made a big mess here, so I have to cut it. Now when I cut it, watch what happened. I've created an iodialysis. Arey Baba, the first patient, the doctor had only sent me for nucleus removal without PCR, slide DM. I removed the DM, I created the PCR, now I've created also an iodialysis. So when you have an iodialysis like this, the solution is what? Very simple. We call it the trocar assisted iodialysis repair. Take a trocar, any of these retina trocars from the Alcon guys, 25 gauge, fix it like a trocar AC maintainer opposite the iodialysis. Now, take a double arm Prolene needle, okay? Pass it through the iris, and you can get this again from Aurolab, from the Arvind group. From the other side, take a 30 gauge needle, railroad. Now from the other side, do the same. Now all you do is pull. When you pull and tie it up, Mohan, Sujata, you see the iodialysis repaired. But remember one thing, I'm doing this. You see how bad I butchered the whole cornea and the iris? Now I'm repairing this iodialysis, and that's the point which I want to tell you now. When you do that, please understand, you have pulled the iris to one side. When you pull the iris to one side, I'll show this to you on an animation, the pupil is decentered. So now what you need to do is combine this with the pupiloplasty, fourth row. So this is called the two-fold technique. So now you see, now I'm combining it with the single pass fourth row pupiloplasty, and this is called the two-fold technique. So here you see I'm combining. The advantage in this is, now my pupil will be centered. Now you watch my pinhole pupil being created, and you can see my Purkinje image. Now I'll close up the remaining defects, use my vitrectomy probe to make my pupil bang on track. And look at the Purkinje image, bang on track. Now I want you to see the inverted image there. See on the top there, below there, there's a inverted one. Look at that inverted. Yeah. Please understand, that is P4. That's not P1. Please concentrate on the erect one. Okay, this is important for all to know. This will be a blurred one. It will be slightly bigger, but that's P4. So don't look at that. Look at the P1 when you are focusing on the pinhole. Now everything is done. I take out the little endothelium which is left. I don't think anything is left. And I move to PDEC. So the reason why we are doing PDEC in this point I want to mention here is this. Please understand. You have endothelium, desmase, and the substantia propria in DSEC, which is about 100 microns or whatever you use. So if you have a 500 micron cornea, if I'm putting another 100, the cornea has to pump more. In DMEC, you're taking 15 micron only. Very good. The problem is the donor cannot be removed till the donor is about 40 or 50. In PDEC, you're taking endothelium, desmase, and the Duas layer. So what happens is you get 25 micron. There's no stroma there, but the advantage is you can work on any donor age. The youngest I've used is a 9-month donor. I've created a type 1 bubble. This is nothing like but simple DALK, by the way. Like you create in DALK bubble, you're creating here a bubble. Only thing is inverted. Mohan, same story.
Yeah.
Okay. Normally in DALK, you're looking at the epithelium. Here you're looking at the endothelium, but the same principle. Okay. So remember that. It's nothing but the DALK Anwar's bubble. Okay. I've cut this graft, injected it inside. Now question comes, how did this patient behave? So let's see how this patient behaved. Look at the pre-op, remove the anterior segment OCT, and post-op, 1 week, patient improved to 6/9 vision. Since I've said this, I want to show you. Come again? Come again, I missed you.
Nightmare. It's a
Sujata?
Phaco hell.
One second, Sujata.
It's,
Yeah.
I said it's no longer a nightmare, it's a Phaco hell. It's the most difficult.
Okay. This patient came to me from Iraq. Okay. Now, this patient had myopia and went to Iran. From Iraq, went to Iran. Had anterior chamber phakic IOL done. And then went in for corneal decompensation, cataract, peripheral anterior synechic glaucoma. The top ophthalmologist in Iraq referred this patient to me. So I told the patient, no problem, we will make it all right. Okay? And obviously when I say like that, you know how things will work. But let's see. I take off the epithelium. Look at the peripheral anterior synechiae there. Okay? That's an anterior chamber phakic IOL. On anterior segment OCT, you can see that. Synechiae. So I said, okay, no problem. I go inside, separate this phakic IOL from the periphery, bisect it, and take it out one by one. So both pieces have come out. I'm very happy. Now you see there's a membrane on the capsule. Here I made a mistake. I thought, let me take it off. And I didn't realize I am taking off more than the membrane. I'm pulling off also the capsule with it. And I didn't realize that. So I dilated with iris hooks. And here I'm seeing my anterior capsule itself is missing. Okay? Obviously in the bargain, I remove my cataract. And then I notice my lens is going into the vitreous. Now I know I'm in trouble. So now what I do is immediately I shifted to my two flaps. I've got my trocar AC maintainer. So remember all of you, always when you're doing glue dial, fix the trocar AC maintainer as you can see on the top there. Okay? Now I'm going to do my handshake technique. I've shown this to you just now. Once I've done that, you'll see that once again, one by one, catching the tip of the haptic. Once the tip of the haptic is caught, I pull it out. Now watch. I go in, do the handshake technique here, transfer it from one hand to the other, go in from the other side, catch the tip of the haptic and pull out. Okay, so far so good. Lovely. Now I tuck my haptics, created a 26 gauge needle, and at this stage, believe me, I'm very happy. Okay, now I say, let me make it a 4th row pupiloplasty. Now I do that. So you can see now my pupil becoming smaller. Now I'm even more happy. So I said, okay, now let me break this synechiae, because there are peripheral anterior synechiae. If I don't break that, please understand, if you have that, and you're obviously going to do a PDEC in this case, okay, I need the air to go fully to the angle area also. If you don't break it, I tell you what, your patient will not have a proper detachment, proper getting fixed. Obviously, I've created an iridodialysis. Okay, doesn't matter. I showed you trocar assisted iridodialysis. Opposite the iridodialysis, I'm fixing a trocar, passing a double armed Prolene needle, and it's under the flap there, which will get buried. So the first suture goes in, the second arm goes in like this, you can see. Now you notice I will pull. And you notice when I pull, my pupil will get decentered. I know it will get decentered, nothing wrong in it. So you see now you're pulling it on both ends. Look at the pupil getting decentered, Sujata. Okay? Now you will add to this a single pass, 4th row pupiloplasty, and now I am bang on track. Okay? So far so good, everybody. Any doubts? Now I will end it with a...
Amar, what about the remaining holes in the iris?
Sir, already my staff is shouting. If I say I'll close every one of those, I'm telling you one thing, they'll all resign and join Rajan Eye Care.
Please, I want them to.
So now what I do is, I take off the remaining endothelium, epithelium, endothelium desmase, create my PDEC bubble, and I inject. And I'm telling you one thing, patient has come from Iraq, gone to Iran, come back to me. Oh, I'm so happy. My problem in my house is my beloved wife. Suddenly she comes to me, what have you done? Post-op day 1, patient is very good, graft attached, clear, cornea clear. Okay, now what I do is, post-op day 4, graft attached, cornea clear, I'm so happy. Then she comes shouting at me, "Arey, you moron, what have you done?" I said, "What, beloved wife? What have I done? Patient not seeing." I said, what are you patient not seeing? Such a beautiful surgery done. She said, not seeing what beautiful surgery done. Huh? What are you going to go and tell the Iraq doctor now? Oh man. Then I realized my mistake. I messed up in the IOL power calculation. Oh man. Can you believe it? Now that patient is not seeing because my glued IOL power which I have put is wrong. Really I am dumb. The patient is a myopic patient. He has got a phakic IOL. Obviously, you don't have to be Albert Einstein to understand. He will go for, let's say, +8 or +9 IOL. Something like that. I've gone and put a 20 diopter IOL because I asked them what is the IOL power. They told me 20 and like a fool I put that. Arey, zero brain on top. So now question comes to my panel here. Now what do I do? Please understand, patient is come from Iraq. Okay, there is a visa problem. There is a hotel problem. There is a money problem he has. Okay, can I do smile? 5 days post-op only. Okay, I can't keep him indefinitely for 3 months.
What is the residual power?
Must be minus some 10 when?
10.
10, 12. She wanted to put another phakic IOL.
Another
inside.
phakic IOL.
After all this.
No, IOL exchange.
IOL exchange. Yes.
Glued IOL.
But remember one thing. There is a pedic graft 5 days post-op. Let's be real. So question comes, a very good answer of Mohan. I said, listen, I can't do smile, I can't do LASIK. I can't give him contact lens back. And I can't send him back to Iraq because obviously I have to make this man all right. So what I said, this lady all right. So I said, as Mohan said, 5 days post-op or 1 week post-op, I said, let me fix the patient back. Count, you are asking what is the power? No, it was minus 10. Okay. So now, I have to break the pinhole pupillas here, by the way. Okay, because I've created a pinhole. Okay, so I'm fixing my iris hooks and now I'm breaking the pinhole. Now I have to take out the haptic from the glued IOL. Boy, Atik, are you going to call me next year? No chance. No chance. Okay, now I have to remove this IOL without damaging the pedic graft. Remember, there's a pedic graft inside. Okay, so now I'm very careful and believe me, my heart is going dog, 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 dog. Okay, I do my handshake technique. I made a scleral tunnel incision in this case because I know this is a large incision. I explant the glued IOL. I have to redo the glued IOL with a proper, correct technique, correct power IOL. Again, you can see handshake technique done. Now I have to retuck the haptics. Okay? So far, so good. Now the worst part is, after vitrectomy, I have to redo the pinhole pupillasty also. And remember, all this is happening with a pedic graft 5 days or 1 week post-op. So now, once I have done that, I start my 4th row pupillasty again. Now watch, I've done one side, now I'm going to do it on the other side. And here you see that, when I started, I saw my graft there. Can you see the graft there?
Yeah.
My pedic graft, I got a heart attack. Okay, I said, listen, I'm not pushing my luck more. The graft has not detached. It's pretty good. I'm not doing more than this. That iris there, I'm going to knock off with a vitrectomy probe. And here you can see the P4. Look at the inverted, larger one on your left. That's P4. Don't concentrate on that. Concentrate on the P1. But my graft is intact. Okay? Once everything is intact, I just go inside and believe me, I could not sleep whole night. Fixed it with glue. And this is the patient improved
Fantastic.
to 612, ladies and gentlemen.
Amar, what about the so many sutures you put? It doesn't cause any astigmatism throughout.
Pinhole anyway.
My pinhole is there. You know, there's a good question she asked me. You know, you might think sometimes PDEC will not produce astigmatism. But I tell you what, we had a patient, I know Susan had a PDEC patient, and she came to me with 8 diopters of astigmatism. And she said, patient is that time. And that was the early stages of my pinhole pupillasty. I said, let's do pinhole plasty. She was about to shoot me. She said, are you mad? PDEC graft is inside. Okay, I said, no, Susan, let's do it. We did it. Patient is absolutely all right. But this case proved one thing to me finally is that, look, 1 week post-op, Mohan, the graft is fully intact. I thought, let me have one last case and then we'll have the few minutes for discussion, okay? Because I wanted to show you one last case and I'll just show you in a second. No, how many days? He's asking me how many hours the surgery took. No, how many days? Oh, you can't believe it. It's crazy. That's why my wife wants to divorce me. So,
No,
I'm going to show you this new technique.
Amar, one, trifold, before we see that, I just want to, because the iris is so fragile, when you try to take a bite, what happens is it tears more. How do you avoid that?
Very good question. So, what I do is I take a deeper bite. Don't take a superficial bite. It's a great question of Mohan. So, when you are doing a photoplasty, take a good bite. Second thing is, when you are doing something, remember, catch and then pass. Sometimes the needle is blunt and you just pass either from this side or this side, you will create an iridiolysis. Let me repeat to all of you here. Please understand, when you get in the habit of holding with the gluteal forceps the iris, then passing the needle. Then you have control, Prashant. Sometimes you pass the needle, and if you have done 2-3 times, the needle is blunt. You go like this. When you do like this, you will create an iridiolysis. Then you do trocar-assisted iridiolysis, which is another headache on your head, which you don't want to get into. So, the answer to Mohan's question is 1, use the forceps to hold, and then pass the needle. Second is, take a big bite. So, last video, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll take questions from all of you. We started this technique called trifold technique. Now, what happened was, a patient came to us from one of our hospitals where there was a gluteal, everything done, but the iris defect was too large. So, what is happening? I am not able to suture. It's tearing, Mohan, because the gap is too large from one end to the other. So, the question comes, how do I repair this technique? Now, look at this. Another case like that. I'm trying to do the single pass 4th row. Okay? It's another case. But see what's happening. Exactly what Mohan was talking about. I'm creating an iridiolysis on the other side, because the gap is too much. So, how do you solve it? Look at this. Remember the trocar-assisted iridiolysis? Same principle. But here, you are not repairing the iridodialysis. You are repairing each pillar of iris defect. So, I am fixing the trocar there. Now watch. I am passing the double arm proline needle. One end, this coming out, one end coming out. And I am going to pull. Now look at that. Once I pull, the distance has become shortened. I take out this trocar, fix it on the other end. Now look, I pass it from one end, same trocar assisted. Here you are not fixing the iridiolysis, ladies and gentlemen. Instead you are fixing the iris pillar. Once I have done that, my distance has become short. I can easily close it up with a 4th row pupiloplasty. So this is called the trifold technique. Yes, Mohan?
Yeah, wonderful. It's fantastic.
Okay, so we have sent this for peer review also. So there you can see, very simple. Now let's see this on a patient, and then we'll call it a day. Now this is the patient, gluteal has been done, but the iris defect is too large. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to first fix a trocar, and these are from Alcon. You can use them, 25 gauge, excellent trocars they get. I'm fixing the first trocar. Once my first trocar is fixed, I'm going to take this double-armed proline needle. Here you can see I'm passing it through the trocar so that the tissues don't get caught. Catch, Prashant, catch, always. Then pass. Don't just pass. If you pass just like that, you'll get stuck. Okay? Once it's passed there, from the other side, you see I'm taking a 30 gauge needle. Now I railroad the two. You can see that? Now it will come out. I'll do the same on the one more. So I'll have a double arm, and you'll see the gap reducing clearly between the two. Here you can see now the first arm has come out. Now I'm doing the second arm. Once my second arm comes, you will see I'll be able to pull. And if you have it a superficial bite, I tell you what, it will tear through. So please have a good bite. Once I've done that, I'll do the same on the other side. And once you have done on the other side, now see the difference? I've tied this. Now I'll do it on this side. Take the trocar, fix on the other side. Once that is done, you will see the gap has reduced. So it's a very simple technique where you are doing 3 steps. First trocar, then a second trocar, and then the 4th row pupiloplasty, and that's why it's called the trifold technique. Now look at the gap between the two. It was so large before, And now it has become so much easier, and you can very well do it. You don't need an artificial iris for such cases. If you go and ask anyone, they'll say it's too large a defect, you'll have to fix it with an artificial iris. And I tell you what, the same patient I see recently, 6'9", 6'6", he's so happy because all his problems have been solved. So here you see the end stage. I'm just going to show you here the fourth row pupillasty being done and patient becoming all right. So this is called the trifold technique. We have 5 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen. Rather than continuing this video, I'll call it a day. And I'd like to first of all thank Mohan, Arul, Atik, Sujata, everyone here for inviting me here for this session. Sanu? Okay? And then we can have it open for discussions, any points, any doubts anyone has.
Amar, these were great videos, lot of take-home messages. I understood a lot about your Phaco, pupilloplasty. Doing the technique is one, then finally fine-tuning with the vitrector. I think that makes all the difference.
Come again, sorry?
Fine-tuning the
Yes.
centration with the vitrector makes all the difference.
The fine-tuning with the vitrector makes a big difference, and that's what Arul is telling everyone, 100% correct. You need a vitrectomy machine. Otherwise, you will not make it all right. And sometimes, you will make it, see, it will be linear. It will be like a slit. I would like to see, not that it makes a difference, but I like to make it round, but more important, the size is important. Yes, Prashant.
Prashant.
Sir, in this trifold technique which you showed in the last case, in a similar situation, what I had done was I had approximated, not fully, we did a fourth row knot pupilloplasty instead of anchoring those pillars over here, sector iridectomy, and left it loose, and then slowly approximated that towards the pupil and then refashioned it.
Very good. Very good. But this makes it solid. See, understand, in this na kya hota hai, if you keep it partly loose, a fourth row, it will open up after some time. In this, there's no chance of it opening up.
Sometime, have you found any of the sutures given
No.
way and all that?
The sutures, I'll tell you very frankly, every day I don't know how many we do. To be honest to you, okay? Never opens. When will it open? I'll tell you when it will open. Suppose you have done 1 knot, 2 knots, 3 knots, and you have forgotten whether you did 3 or 4, and actually you have done 3, and you tie, and it might open. Second mistake you'll do is, you'll do 1, 2, and then the third and fourth will go in the reverse direction. Then you make a mistake. So suppose Mohan is operating, and suddenly gets disturbed by a very beautiful girl, I'm telling him to make 5 knots, instead of 3 or 4. What, Sujata? Anyone here? Anyone, any questions? All okay? Arul?
No.
I
questions,
think
Amar.
it's been a real amazing session. Let's give a big round of applause to Amar, and it's
Thanks to Atik and Arul. And all of
wide variety of complications. But more importantly, I think you should not lose your cool, and there is a solution for everything. And fantastic techniques, and the way he dealt in fantastic video quality as well. And really hats off to you, Amar, and you have been a great teacher, great surgeon, great clinician. It's very rare to get all the combinations in one. And you are a very rare blend, I would say, of everything.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, in general, when we come for conferences, or at least when I make a video for a conference, I ensure everything is edited. Maybe a little bit of tremor, the Rex is running off. When I see it, I ensure it is perfect. To show one complication itself is very difficult in front of an audience. 45 minutes or 50 minutes showing the worst that can happen is actually what a teacher can do. I request a round of applause for such a presentation. MR sir requests all of you to give a standing ovation, please.
Hey, don't be silly. Thank you, everyone.
And when I
This is the best CHEN-EYE conference ever conducted, and I'm sure this is abnormal to get so many delegates and such a super venue and conference, and hats off to these guys.
And this is very special to me. I have 2 of my teachers here. I did my DNB with Amar sir. Following, I was with Arul sir for some time, and 2 people who really supported me throughout the conference to do things were MR sir and Sujata Mohan. So this stage is extremely special and nice to me. Thank you so much, sir, for coming all the way. Wonderful session.
Another big round of applause for Atik.